Welcome to Barely Maintaining, the ultimate podcast for die-hard Chicago Bears fans. Join your host, Ryan Burheit, and me, Michael Guyton, as we dive into all things Bears. Game analysis and player insights to the latest news and fan stories, Ryan and I cover it all. Whether cheering from Soldier Field or your living room, Barely Maintaining keeps you connected to your favorite team. Now, let's get ready to bear down. Welcome, everybody, to Barely Maintaining, episode 15. This is our October 23rd version of the show. Bears had a bye this week, so kind of an easy week for us, which is weird. We kind of got fired on our day off for stealing boxes, went to the bottom of the division, and didn't even do anything. But we will talk about some of the stuff that's happened around the league today. So some trade proposals, maybe. We'll talk about expectations coming up against the Washington Commanders. It doesn't sound like we'll have to face Jaden Daniels, which, I mean, benefit for us, but of course we want to see the best competition anyway. We got some pick'em games, start bench cut, just to see where we're at with Ryan's opinion of the team. With that being said, let's get into it. Ryan, what do you got for Around the League, the news?
All right, so around the league, Matt LaFleur, this is kind of a new thing that just kind of happened, brings in ex-Jets head coach Robert Saleh to help out with he actually brought him in to help out with the offense because he's defensive minded, so he wanted to kind of give some tips on the offense and how to run that.
Good. Hopefully he ruins it there too.
Yeah. Bryce Young to start Sunday versus the Broncos after Andy Dalton sprained his thumb in car crash with his family. I did see he was in there, but from what I saw, everybody was
Who's driving the car? Bryce Young?
It's like when Justin Herbert came in. Do you remember that? When Justin Herbert first came in, it was because the quarterback, I think it was Geno Stone or something, right? It was popped his lung. Like the doctor had popped his lung while he was giving him a shot.
Yeah. I don't. Was it? Who was it?
It was somebody like Geno Stone or something. Like it was one of those guys that
I don't
were
remember.
back up for a while or kind of just floating around.
It was kind of a Drew Bledsoe getting replaced by Tom Brady situation.
Yeah.
Never heard from him again.
Yeah.
Sorry about that lung.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara agrees to a 2-year, $24.5 million extension. This kind of shocked me, to be honest, because they're not using him.
I know. That's weird, and also just a value on running back. I mean, you got to spend money on other places on that team, in my opinion. But teach his own.
And then Mike Evans is likely out until after the bye week in week 11. He got injured, just like Chris Godwin also got injured, and he is to undergo surgery on his dislocated ankle. Puka Nacua returns to practice, opening up the 20-day return period. Debo Samuel hospitalized for pneumonia. He had fluid in his lungs. Brandon Ayuk out for the rest of the 2024 season with his ACL injury. Jaden Daniels, like you mentioned, is week to week with his rib injury. It still seems kind of up in the air, but most likely not playing. Tua is back at practice. Will not wear a Guardian cap, from what I saw in the for personal reasons. Personal reasons being he just wants more concussions, I guess.
Well, and I heard some of the talking heads around the NFL, I think NFL Network or something, saying that they don't cause more concussions. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you care? You can't see it on you when you're running. I don't know. It's a weird decision. Is it going to slow you down? And you just said you weren't going to be running much because you got to make smarter decisions or whatever. I don't know. I'm a fan of Tua because Alabama, and I just don't want to see that again, man. Those concussions are hard to watch.
Right. Especially his, where you're seeing, some crazy
as a fan,
yeah, some crazy arm stiffening and let's see some other news. Yeah. Deshaun Watson will miss the rest of the season with that Achilles. If you saw it, it was kind of gruesome. It was kind of reminiscent of the KD when he was going to shoot and you kind of saw it spring up a little bit.
Yeah, those are the worst ones. Kind of like you saw it pop kind of right before the contact happened in that game. But, the crowd was cheering.
Yeah, that's rough.
But but he's kind of did that to himself. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
they're not going to let up on you, man. And you, yeah. And now there's all these memes and stuff coming out about him being in rehab and getting
Yeah. I've seen those.
massages.
Aiden O'Connell out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured thumb. Chiefs acquire wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins in a trade for a fifth rounder that can become a fourth rounder. Also, Bryce Young will start on Sunday with the injury to Andy Dalton. And then there was the Seahawks traded for Jerome Baker for a fourth round pick to Titans. Or, I'm sorry, Seahawks traded Jerome Baker and a fourth round pick to the Titans for Ernest Jones and a linebacker swap. That was pretty much everything that kind of caught us up here.
Nice. There was quite a bit of movement here. Trade deadline is November 5th, I believe. So we got a couple weeks left, and there's some action happening now. I think there's definitely teams seeing what they need.
Seen some rumors for the Bears too, kind of moving a couple pieces.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here. Because and then I want to ask you, kind of your idea what in a couple situations.
Yeah.
As far as week 7 weekly NFL weekly leaders, oddly enough, on the loss, Baker Mayfield led the way with yardage as far as three passing yards, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's playing his heart out. It was not a great game to watch for them because it was kind of a bludgeoning by Baltimore, who seems to have gotten it together and kind of looking like who they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield was followed by Justin Herbert, also in a loss, 349 yards, which is just crazy that you're throwing for that and losing,
Yeah.
And then the other guys aren't even on the list. I guess Lamar Jackson is, he's number 4 on the list, but Saquon Barkley led the way for rushing. He was only 13 yards away from his personal record in the game.
That was a cool thing.
He had 100.
With that
video. Yeah. They his coach said, "Hey, you got 13 yards for this person." And he said, "Nah, put the young boys, let the young guys eat." So it was cool to see him as a team guy, and man, that's got to eat Giants fans up.
Yeah.
Everything that guy does is just good, And he's having a career year, is he not? For a guy that's had a good career other than that injury.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry's making every 30-year-old guy in the whole country feel like they could be the best athlete in the world. I mean, he's still running top speed for him, and he's got 169 yards last week. So he didn't even rush, but 4 or 5 times in the first half of that game too.
Yeah, it was weird.
He ended with 15, but I think that's what they were doing, just saving his legs. Because they just put on the pounding in the second half after they had been the ground and pound game after they went up.
Yeah.
100%. Tank Bigsby was on the list, Jahmyr Gibbs and Joe Mixon. And then the rookie Keon Coleman stepped up for Buffalo. Finally kind of making a name. They expected him to do big things. He only had 4 catches, but it was 125 yards.
Yeah, I feel like this is a direct kind of them getting Amari Cooper, and you can't just guard Coleman now, which, he's a rookie, but he was kind of their whole offensive scheme. And once you get Amari Cooper, it's like, okay, now we have a couple guys to guard here and kind of open them up.
And they kind of, obviously they went against the Tennessee Titans, so that helps them get back on track. Yeah. But they were kind of fumbling a little bit, and they looked really strong at the beginning of the first few games.
Right.
Of course, it hurts to see as Bears fans, Roquan Smith is the second leading solo tackler with 11 for a defensive player, but he's a lot of money. And I think we spread it around nicely in that defense.
Yes.
But yeah, so those were the weekly leaders. It was a fun week of football. As far as not having Bears to watch, that Lions Vikings game was pretty fun because I was hoping it would end in a tie and they'd all be really beat up after that game. But Lions look. Vikings are good. I realize what their game is now, though. Now that I've watched them, because I never really watched the game. Sam Darnold they're not expecting him to do much at all.
Yeah.
when it's relying on him completely, you don't have to worry too much about it. When they have to pass, their run game is where it's at.
Right.
They're just Aaron Jones and you left and right all day long.
Yeah.
Um, he had like only 7 passes in the first half, I think,
Yeah. And
or something. It
the
wasn't very
lines are
many.
fun. They do a lot of like fun plays where like they do the sneak the tackle off and try and throw it to him, or do reverses. They do the hook and ladders. They do a lot of just random fun things.
Yeah, and they're kind of like you're like your controlled team on Madden. They do the stuff, we're going for every fourth down.
Yeah.
If it's like 5 yards or less, we're doing it. And
Yeah.
even sometimes more if we feel like we can get it.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're on the field. So I do like their coach. He's kind of a gunslinger. He's made some bad decisions, but that's what happens when you do it in a Madden too. You're like, oopsie,
Yeah.
you don't get that fourth down, and then the momentum just is all the way to their side.
Right.
Um, but I do like the cojones. I would rather you go out swinging than just sitting on your hands.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I can appreciate that. And that's a formidable foe in the North for sure. But we are the best division.
Yep.
And especially by point differential, it wasn't even close. The closest one was we were double then. Of course, we went into our bye week, so that changes a little bit. One of the things I will mention that Barkley, because he did have, he has it was a revenge game for him against the Giants, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he, almost set his record and did all that. So it was like, is the second most in NFL history by a player in a revenge game against a former team. Only Cedric Benson, who faced the Bears as a member of the Bengals in 2009, had more, 189. So that one just hits home a little bit.
Yeah.
Cedric, you bastard.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember us getting rid of Cedric and thinking, yeah, he's don't got much left in the tank. And then him doing that to us, I'm like, where was that?
Yeah. But that was about it for him, though, right? Like, I mean, he did that against the Bears, and then pretty much was like,
yeah, and it was the Bengals, and I mean that was the Andy Dalton era where they would go to one playoff game, and
yeah,
so I think he might have sniffed a playoff game, and we were just coming off of that a few years removed from that Super Bowl. We thought we were going to be back in the mix,
yeah,
quite a bit. So, college football was fun to watch this week. Alabama took another loss. I mean, just throwing that in there because
I don't think it was fun to watch.
No, the week in general was,
Yeah.
but honestly, I'm a fan of good football, and it was good football. It was obviously it hurts to lose, but
for us,
I think there's some issues, some disciplinary issues, some maturity stuff that's not getting addressed, or maybe it is, and it's it's still trickling back in every week. But Milroe also doesn't look like he's either got the yips or he's got an injury, because he's underthrowing everything, it seems like. And it's like, after that Georgia game, how do you go so much to such good passing and accurate long ball passing to nothing? But that's college for you. That's why it makes it fun. And the playoff is wide open. I mean, geez, all these big timers are getting hammered. So
yeah, as an Iowa fan, it sucks to watch, but
I mean, did you think Indiana would be the undefeated team, one of the undefeated teams at this stage? And but they got a new coach, and who knows what's going on there? And there's not a lot of tape on them, and
I don't know. Kirk Ferentz gotta go, man.
I don't disagree with you there. Would you like a Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least your offensive is innovative.
Yeah. If you gave me Kalen DeVore and then kept Phil Parker, like, that's the craziest. I think that's one of the best teams you can have out there, as long as you can get the team around it, because Phil Parker can make pretty much anybody a
Which
defender.
I think that's why he had Washington contending. He's a pretty good recruiter,
Yeah.
DeBoer. I don't know about Alabama. I mean, you got to wait a couple of years because Saban's still in the house anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, is he? He's probably still going. meeting mom and dad, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know when it's going to be his
yeah.
team, you know.
But it was.
We'll see.
I say I do agree though. Overall, it was a fun week. I mean, you had a good game with Iowa State. You had
Yep.
Indiana kind of prove that okay, we are somebody. Like once
Right.
again, like I think Nebraska isn't who they think they are because one, I freaking hate Nebraska no matter what. But
Yeah.
and two, it's one thing like I said, and I've told a couple of like you and a couple of guys at work. Uh, it's because I was kind of the ones kind of singing the praises for Indiana, and you guys were like, yeah, who they play, but
Yeah.
there's one thing about
Yeah.
not playing people, and there's also doing what you're supposed to do at those games that you're playing,
Correct.
like the 77 to threes, the beating the bricks off of Nebraska's 56-7, like things like that, like
Yeah.
beating the crap out of these teams and kind of
Literally not being in any trouble in any game
yeah, and then
at
just
any
keep
point,
running it
really.
up, and just keep putting the points on the board.
Yeah. And if you watch some of those games, it's not like from lack of. I mean, they're just running the ball.
Yeah,
But they're an innovative team. I feel like.
yeah,
But that is one of the things, the selling point of college football, you know, even with NIL, this and that, it's like you still got the kid that's, you know, the Giantis and, you know, and the Caleb Johnsons that are at Iowa that aren't necessarily at Michigan or Ohio State anymore because it's like, I, I want to, you know, I'm make a name for myself
yeah,
and, you know, the monies will come to the school,
right,
you know? So I don't know. I think that's a cool aspect too,
yeah,
because what college, D1 college, doesn't have access to companies that would love to,
right.
you know, or people um
Hell, Iowa
that
and
want to
Iowa
put money
State got
into it.
high V.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of money in Iowa.
Yeah,
Just the pork industry is like it's like
yeah.
the biggest pork producers, Iowa, and they they do dabble in corn a little bit in the state.
Just
No, but
everywhere.
but there's some money to be had, and I think that's the playoff and all that adds some parity to who could actually be national champions. Because like an Iowa State might have a fairly easy path
Yeah,
based on their division or their conference for one, and then you know how that shakes out because the top four teams or whatever get that first bye, and
yeah. If you win your
you know,
conference, you get your bye week, and then it's the
and then you know you might face a beat up team from whatever first round playoff happened, you know,
yeah,
because then it's pretty top tier competition. Just throwing in there too that Texas, you know, finally got that SEC kind of butt spanking that
yeah,
that happens eventually to every team that's in the. I mean, Big Ten's the same way, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. That's one
Um,
thing I was gonna say though. How who would have thought that Oregon coming in and UCLA and USC and all them, they're like, oh yeah, we got to worry about the Michigans, the Ohio States, Penn States, you know, even the Iowa and teams like that. Where this Big Ten ball, this is a whole different type of play than Pac-12 was, and then you're like, no, you should really be afraid of is Indiana.
yeah. Well, and it's not even like you can't. You still have to be afraid of the teams that were always
yeah,
there. Now there's also Indiana,
yeah,
you know, and Illinois, you know, playing
yeah,
their asses off, and they're making a name for themselves. And um, yeah, it's and I always want to hate on Ohio State, and it seems like they might beat them a little bit, you know.
yeah. I mean, your only loss
Again,
is to Oregon, who is number one right now.
yeah, yep, yeah, and it's like that can, you know, easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
week
it's
to
just
week,
to
that number
show.
one spot's been changing every week.
Yeah, to me, it's just to show that the Big 12, or not the Big 12, the Big 10 and the SEC are kind of your powerhouses. I mean, you
Yeah,
got
for
five
sure.
teams that could deservedly be in the top four from the Big
Yeah,
10, and four for, yeah, like four for the SEC right now, right? Like, I mean, Alabama's kind of fallen, but then you got Georgia, Texas. Oklahoma is kind of back and forth on what they're doing. Not in the top four, but like and then
yeah.
LSU's kind of pushing up there again.
Ole Miss was in the
Yeah,
mix, but again, only one team is going to win the SEC, so the other team's got to fight it out. That makes it
yeah,
easier for an Iowa State maybe from the Big 12 or one of the other conferences to get healthy and sometimes that hurts though because I always remember Ohio State being like having a 2-week layoff or 3-week layoff before the national championship and getting their butts beat a couple times because they just
Yeah.
it's too long away from football after playing every week.
Yeah. You gotta get your body readjusted to it, and yeah, this way. There might be a little bit more injuries, but at the same time, too, I feel like there's going to be somewhat of less injury because your body's not taking a giant break. It's used
Well,
to
and it's
getting it
been
every week.
like the way college is too. It's next guy up kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some key positions like quarterback and stuff that really does matter, but you, uh, you know, you got to keep moving. Those injuries happen a lot, and that's why they carry such big rosters. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the layout now is much more competitive for somebody who doesn't necessarily have all the money, like the
Yeah.
Michigans, the Ohio States, the ones who've been there. Uh, yeah. So there's obviously some rumors floating around about the trade speculation. Uh, what have you heard? What do you think? What would you like
Uh,
to happen?
I guess so. A couple things I have heard are some ideas of pushing Nate Davis.
Yep, definitely that.
Because Bill Murray's filling in great anyways, and then also Nate Davis just doesn't want to play for the Bears. It looks like, like
He doesn't want to play football, I don't think. And I said Nate Davis was benched in week 3 and inactive in week 6. The team is open to moving him.
yep.
Doing so will require Chicago to recover some of his $8.75 million salary, but my sense is the Bears are comfortable with that. The experiment hasn't gone well, and that's
Yeah.
from Eric Lambert
Yeah.
at Sports Mockery. So, and he's pretty much one of the Bears writers, so he's kind of an insider there.
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If you
It
can,
has. It's not working out.
yeah. If you can get
Pay
somebody
what
to
you
bite
got
on
to. If
him,
that.
and you can get something out
What
of
do you
him.
think he's worth?
Not much. From his tape, I mean,
We love
honestly,
him. He's been great for us.
yeah, right.
A
Like,
third,
yeah. I
fourth.
I think
Yeah.
honestly, he's just a piece in a bigger thing. He's just kind of we need to dump this guy.
Yeah, we're gonna get a John Deere lawnmower and a bag of
Yeah.
potatoes for him
Yeah.
and pay off his
Where
salary.
he's just kind of like so. Another rumor I've heard is Myles Garrett because the Browns want to get rid of Myles Garrett.
I mean, they got to do something.
Yeah, like
He's
if
going
you're
well there, and
positioning to get him, I feel like a Nate
you're
Davis
gonna
kind
ruin
of
it.
thing is where you're just kind of dumping him onto the Browns because we don't want him and we need to kind of get a space back.
Yeah. I would say that you need to move him either way.
Yeah.
And again, it just kind of. I do love pulls, and that's just one of those moves. It's a Chase Claypool. It just didn't work out. He has potential, just like Chase Claypool did, but I heard rumors from where he came from, which is Titans, I believe,
so.
saying that he just doesn't love football.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to. He didn't want to be at training camp both years, So I'm okay with moving on with him. Also, a name that just got floated is Dominique Robinson.
Okay.
Because he hasn't really panned out.
Yeah.
Could use a fresh start elsewhere. This is also via Eric Lambert, a Sports Mockery. Teams such as the Cowboys, Cardinals, Commanders are all shorthanded at pass rusher. What would you think we could get from the Cowboys? We're giving them a pass rusher, maybe a lineman.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they might be deep at line.
Yeah. I mean,
they need everything though.
Yeah.
You know what? They need Khalil Herbert is what they need.
Yeah. Khalil Herbert. That's one I have heard a lot of. Is kind of playing around with the idea of getting rid of him. Because
give them
honestly,
Dominique Robinson.
We're not using him.
And Khalil Herbert for Micah Parsons.
Yeah. And I just saw something too that was by Jordan J. Willis. The Bears have officially opened the 21 practice window for running back Travis Homer to return from injury reserve, adding more field than NFL rumors to follow. Rusher Khalil Herbert could be moved by trade deadline.
I don't understand what the deal is with Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, I don't know either because he was one of our go-to backs last year. Obviously, DeAndre Swift kind of filled the position that he was in, but
So is he disgruntled or something? Because I have not seen him once. Have you?
no, I not even on returns, not on anything. He just is gone, and it's pretty crazy too to be like, oh yeah,
If
Travis
he's
Homer's
like,
gonna come up and gonna be in spot, or Ian Wheeler if he was here, I feel like he'd be getting spots. Like I don't know what's going on. It's weird.
if you're not going to play Velus Jones Jr., I'm not going to play. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
If that's the
it
case,
was
then
good.
we
It was,
need
it was
to
good
remove.
having you. Yeah, exactly. Hey man, we're not Velus Jones Jr. haters. He earned that.
Yeah.
The kicking of the ball once you fumble it. The fumbling was enough, but then
Yeah.
you did that on
Yeah.
top of it. Um, yeah. I don't honestly. I feel like there's some pretty good stability. We could use maybe obviously depth on the line, right? Um, pretty good at wide receiver. I mean, everyone said
Potentially an
pass
edge
rush,
rusher. Yeah.
but 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 it even I'm you know how I am. I don't want to spend the future money or future picks on it if we don't have to, you know, because it's pretty suffice right now.
Yeah, and I see like rumors that we should go after like this one says we should go after Chuba Hubbard. Why? Why would we do that?
Yeah.
We have two running backs that rotate out very nicely with each other. Why would you add another
Well,
running back?
right. And on top of the running back room, it's I mean, let me see. I'm gonna go to the depth chart real quick. Our running backs are obviously we have Swift,
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert is the second string, and then Roshan Johnson,
Which makes
according
no
to the
sense.
Bears depth chart.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but also the depth chart for wide receiver is DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, Tyler Scott, and then Felix Jones Jr. is still in there. I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Hide nor hair of him. I'm gonna go to the NFL's website real quick and look at their roster because they're more of current. I feel like the Bears aren't even putting their current roster up.
Yeah. Let's see.
This game coming up, what do you think? Though, we'll get into it here a little more after we do a commercial break. But are you concerned about the Commanders
I don't think so.
without Jaden Daniels, especially?
I think honestly, the most of this game is it's a lose for us. I feel like they're gonna say, yeah, but if they had Jaden Daniels, they would have beat you, or if Jaden Daniels was fully healthy, they would have beat you. Like, because to me, this is the game, and I wanted to see Williams go against Daniels because I felt like it was this is the game for Rookie of the Year, basically. And now you're not going to get that matchup because I feel like those two are definitely leading it. Jaden Daniels was leading it more in the beginning of the year, and Caleb has definitely caught back up with his kind of working through everything and kind of becoming a better player. But I think it's kind of a lose-lose for us. Like, we don't get to say we beat them at his full health, but I think our defense can pretty well maintain him, and I think.
And what I'd say to that is, welcome to football. You know what I mean? Everyone's injured, everyone's beat up. I mean, it's like you think we got all of our pieces all the time.
Right.
It took until week 5 for Keenan Allen to really get healthy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I've watched Keenan Allen as being a Chargers secondary kind of fan, and he he did not look like himself on those breaks, and I was getting it. His specialty to me is those 5-10 yard up and outs.
Yeah.
Every time, just they'll get those for you every time. You know what I mean? And then some. And then when you expect him to go up and out, he runs by you, and then those are the deep balls.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of his specialty. So you're just now seeing that. Point being is like no one's healthy all the time. Like yeah, Jaden Daniels either if he doesn't play, he's hurting his MVP either way. You're not putting up the stats. But I think we're a good defense, and I think he's had games where I'm not saying he would have a rough day necessarily where he's going to get sacked because they got a good offensive line.
Yeah.
But I do think that the yardage and stuff wouldn't be there.
Yeah, I think
because they are much like every team that's successful right now. It's run first and then pass, which is what we went to and started winning.
Yeah.
Instead of the 50. I mean, and that was kind of Shane Waldron. I feel like trying to be too next generation.
Yeah.
Hey, let's pass first and then run from that. Well, why?
Yeah.
Because in the fourth quarter, you need that defense to be gassed, and that's
Right.
because you ran on them all day.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Washington, I think, is obviously, I don't even know who their backup is, but they are a lot less scary, in my opinion.
Yeah, who is it?
Minus Jaden Daniels. Have been wanting to him fall off a cliff, but he seems like he's pretty good. Those ankles scare me.
Yeah.
He's got my ankles, and those are skinny. We call them getaway sticks. So that eventually catches up to you. Yeah. So, with that being said, let's take a quick break. We'll a quick commercial break, and we'll be back.
All right, Bears fans, before we dive back into the game talk, we've got to shout out today's sponsor, the Happy Can.
Yeah, if you're looking for a refreshing way to unwind after a long day without the alcohol, but with all the chill vibes, the Happy Can is definitely where it's at.
The Happy Can is a lab-tested, vegan-friendly, alcohol-free beverage that's infused with THC and CBD. Whether you're kicking back at home or catching up with friends, it's the perfect way to relax without the hangover.
Exactly. It's crafted for those of us who are over 21 and want to enjoy the benefits of THC and CBD without any of the alcohol. Plus, it's delicious, responsibly sourced, and did we mention it's vegan-friendly?
Yep, no sketchy ingredients, just pure chill in a can. So if you're looking for something new to sip on, grab yourself a Happy Can and keep those good vibes going.
Make sure to check them out on buythehappycan.com and use code BarelyHappy for a special discount for just our listeners. Cheers to a happy, healthier way to unwind.
The Happy Can, because life's better when you're chill.
All right. Make sure you're trying that Happy Can. I liked it, to be honest with you. I mean, just aside from them, sending us some cans and stuff, I really am a fan of it. It is very chill.
Right now, so.
Nice. I should have had mine with me, but I forgot to grab it. So that being said, what are your expectations this week coming up? Do you think? Oh, do you have something?
By the way, Marcus Mariota is the backup.
Really?
Yeah.
That's right. I did see that because he came in for a second or something for Jaden Daniels last week.
I was looking at the commercial was on, but
okay, we beat the hell out of him. I'm not worried about him at all. His whole career, even when we weren't good, we beat the crap out of Marcus Mariota. And his pinnacle. So yeah, do your thing, boy.
I assume Briskers is back.
I haven't seen an injury report for the week, but yeah. I think he would just barely missed last week.
Yeah.
Hey, if Tua's back, Brisker's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Marcus Mariota. You think with Marcus Mariota, our defense has a day? I mean, he's not mobile at all anymore, really, right?
No, I think they honestly play I think that Commanders don't really go away from much of what they were doing, though, right? Like the short passes, things like that.
Yeah, if you look at the passing chart, because they always put them up like Caleb versus Jaden.
Yeah.
It's very much like within the 10 yards outs,
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too spectacular. And then every now and then deep down the field, but in those passing charts, they definitely look like Williams is moving the ball around a little more, spreading around a little more on the
Yeah.
field. But again, I'm not an expert. I don't know really what I'm looking at, and that all depends. Really, it's dependent on kind of what the defense is giving you, right? If it's
Right.
zone man, all that stuff matters. So, my expectations is that we continue where we left off on offense, moving the ball. I don't know where they're at defensively, but I don't. They don't have a ton of pieces. I don't think on that defense anymore, do they?
Not that I can
For
think of.
the Commanders.
Yeah, not that I can think of. I feel like they'll have a pretty decent amount of points with the, because they've lost a couple and I think they put up. Yeah, I don't think it's like a crazy defense by any means.
And I'm not that concerned about their run game, I don't think.
Yeah.
Personally. I'm just gonna
Honestly,
look at their roster real quick and check
Yeah.
it out.
honestly, I think like as long as we keep up, as long as we don't take the bye week and get worse, I think we do a pretty good job. Defensive yards average. I think they're number 22. Commanders are number 22 for defense.
Shoot, that's good.
Yeah.
For us, I mean, not for
Yeah.
them.
Right.
They got Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson. Austin Eckler, I'm not worried about. Brian Robinson's had a pretty good year. It seems like
This one's got him at 16.
So,
Yesterday, yeah.
you think we're that run game keeps going then?
Yeah, I think, like I said, as long as we don't go backwards, we do pretty well here. Keep Swift on the outsides, run Roshan up the middle, kind of do some of the get Komet some short throws, get Keenan Allen some short throws, hit more across a couple times. As long as we keep like that good groove and keeping Caleb kind of comfortable, I think we pretty well manage this. And then our defense is already got our pieces back. But even then, it seemed like when the pieces weren't there, they still came in and kind of handled business. So
yeah, I feel that's like you mentioned coming out of the bye week, how we do that. That's my kind of always been my concern. We've never been great out of the bye week. I don't feel like but if they prepared for Jaden Daniels and we get Marcus Mariota, I think that's an easy notch for us.
Yeah.
Because he's a little less mobile.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say he's not mobile because he'll move the pocket around, but he's not a Jaden Daniels.
Right.
And he's got, I don't think, any deep ball accuracy. He never really has.
No, yeah, I don't ever remember him being like. Honestly, I didn't even know he was still in the league.
Yeah, he kind of floated around, I feel like.
Yeah.
Here and there.
Yeah. Kind of shocking.
He's been around for a while.
Yeah. Him and Jameson Winston, who's also starting for the Browns right now.
You want to know a crazy stat, though, that I was just looking at next gen stats, rush yards. Jaden Daniels is only 2 spots behind David Montgomery and above Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor, and Breece Hall for rush yards. 372
Jeez.
on 66 attempts and 4 touchdowns. So him not being there to run is going to take an aspect away for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they obviously run him, especially in short yard situations, to get touchdowns.
Yeah.
The fact that he's on the list is crazy. He has 3 rushes for over 20 yards, 1 for over 40 yards, the longest being 46 yards. And it looks like they've rushed 24 times on first down with him.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, he is the first quarterback on the list of running backs.
crazy.
I'd say I didn't count him, but he's like 20 down or so. So that is an aspect they will be missing, and he won't be doing that even if he isn't, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, a couple hits from this defense that hits really hard. I mean, you're gonna be feeling it in those ribs again.
No, I'll tell you what. If I'm a linebacker
Yeah.
and I see you coming,
If I'm
I'm
Jaquan
I'm
Brisker,
punching. I'm punching for the ball.
yeah.
That's what that
Or,
was.
yeah.
Peanut punch to the rib cage.
Yeah.
No, I don't want people to think I would play dirty, but I'm telling you, I would be dirt. No.
Yeah, but if you know that he's got a hurt rib and he's got the ball on that side, punch away.
Yeah, you're getting hammered extra hard.
Yeah.
Because at that point you're a runner, bud.
Yeah.
I don't see him putting him in though. I mean, you're the face of your franchise. You got to protect that now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you
that's
have a good
dangerous.
record. You got to sacrifice. I would sacrifice a win this week to make sure that you get some more wins later on, right?
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about the ribs. They just
Nothing.
sit there until they get healthy again.
The doctor can shoot a shot in there.
Yeah. Pop
If you
your
want.
rib. Or pop your lung.
The Chargers doctor, where you at? We
Yeah.
need you. The only thing I'm concerned about is I've heard bad things about that Commanders visiting locker room. So I'm just hoping the Bears players have their tetanus shots and rabies shots are readily available because there's probably some rabid rats down there.
Yeah.
The pictures I've seen, it looks like, the high school that I went to in the 90s, and those schools were like 40 years old at that point. It looked like those kind of locker rooms. You're like, oh man, I don't want to sit down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get ringworm. Yeah, so before we get into player stat trivia and pick'em games, how we did this week and pick'em games for this upcoming week, let's do a little dead thread sponsor here. Give me 1 second. Here we go. If you're all about expressing yourself through what you wear, then you got to check out Dead Threads. They've got the most wicked collection of t-shirts that scream individuality. Want vintage vibes with your favorite team? Dead Threads has a tee for every vibe and every occasion, whether you're chilling at home, hitting the streets, or even hosting your own podcast. Show your favorite team for Halloween with Dead Threads. I got some creepy music for that one.
Yeah.
Some creepy hip-hop music. Yeah, check out Dead Threads. Again, just like Havoc can, not only are we sponsored, but we're also fans. Ryan got a shirt. They do make really cool shirts.
Yeah.
For your favorite team.
Reminds me of the old school like band tees and stuff like that. So I like it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of there's kind of your standard issue football gear.
Yeah.
And this is kind of something a little different to make you stand out in the crowd.
Yeah.
So player stat trivia. What do we have last week, and then what do you got for this week?
Yeah, so last week a quick rundown. First one was played at North Carolina, finished 10th in Heisman voting in 2001. 30.5 sacks, 167 tackles, 5 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, 5 forced fumbles, 3 touchdowns. Also played in the NCAA tournament where the Tar Heels lost the second round. Second overall pick in the 2002 draft, and 3 NFL teams. One of them he was on twice. Julius Peppers.
I did get that one.
Yep.
The NCAA kind of gave it away, playing basketball, because I knew that. When you said North Carolina, I immediately go Mitch Trubisky, but Hall of Famer, Julius Peppers.
Yep. All right.
We claim him.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm claiming him.
We had him for a little while, for sure. See, the next one here was his dad was drafted by the St. Louis Steamers, played at Penn State, 115 for 121 extra points, and 39 of 61 for field goals. Was an undrafted free agent in 2005 and on 2 teams before the season started. He was working construction before being signed in week 3. Played on 3 teams. Has the record for the highest percentage of postseason field goals converted, which is 100%. and that is Robbie Gould.
Good as gold, man.
Yeah.
And actually was great for 49ers as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had a really long career. Did not know that his dad was a player.
Yeah. I don't
And
even know
honestly, did not even know he went and did not know he went to Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, not
And
great at Penn
he-
State. 39 and 61 and 115 for 121 for extra points. So, I mean,
but man, he was reliable.
yeah.
And especially in Chicago, where it's hard to be reliable, even when you
Yeah.
kick there all the time.
And he
Because there was games where you would have to kick just complete left and it would go right. You know.
and he was signed to us in that week 3. So he was on. I think it was the Panthers and somebody else, Seahawks maybe, before the season started. And then
Was he like an undrafted free agent, just
undrafted,
cruising around?
went to 2 different teams to try and make it. Started working construction. Bears called him up week 3 and brought him in.
We love our kickers working construction.
Yeah.
Shout out Tory Taylor.
Yeah. And third and last one from last week is played at Florida State. First game of senior year, he recorded 4.5 sacks. Known for big play against Miami called Block at the Rock. Pick 51 of the 2017 NFL Draft. And 4 NFL teams totally he's played on, and that is DeMarcus Walker.
I did not get that one, to be honest with you. DeMarcus Walker, though, loving his style of play. He's kind of one of the silent, solid pieces of that defense, you know? I don't feel like our defense gets a lot of accolades if you listen to like the NFL because of Caleb and number 1 pick and all that. So just shout out to him. And he's still, I think, got a lot left in the tank. I think we might see him for a while, you know?
Yeah.
He's like a faster, more available as far as reliability. Trevathan.
Yeah, I can see that.
But Trevathan, I think, was great. Just couldn't stay healthy, you know. Especially had some bad injuries. So, so you got any lined up for this week?
Yeah. All right. First one here. Played at the University of Michigan. Was 368 of 582 passing. 31 touchdowns. 5,214 passing yards and 19 interceptions. Was 26th overall in the 1987 NFL Draft, so 2 years removed from that Super Bowl. 6 NFL teams, second in Bears record book for completions, and has been a head coach for 5 teams, both college and NFL. That said it for you?
Yeah, I had to, honestly, I had no clue.
I forgot this player was a Bear.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I always forget that for some reason.
I'll have to ask you in person before.
Yeah.
To make sure I'm right here.
But
yeah.
Yeah. And then next one up here is played for the University of California. Had 157 combined tackles, 2 interceptions, 4 fumbles, and 11 pass deflections. Was 93rd overall in the 2001 draft, or 2011 NFL draft, I'm sorry. 2 NFL teams. And his grandfather starred in over 60 films, including The Godfather.
Wow. Interesting.
I want to stat check because I'm pretty sure it was 2011 draft. I almost just said it on here.
What college was that? You said Cal. You said Cal, right? Oh man, that's like tickling something in the back of my brain, but no names come up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 2011.
Sounds very familiar. I'm thinking 2011. Okay.
I've mixed reviews on this player, to be honest.
Like whether he was good or bad.
Like if people love or hate him, it seems.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Kind of a divided player there. Third one here is played at the University of Illinois. 2 NFL teams, one of which he was at twice. 207th overall in the 2022 NFL Draft. Was a second team All Big Ten in 2021. And has filled in for fullback for teams.
I think I know that one. I think I know it, but again, I'm questioning. 'Cause there's some facts in there that make it.
Yeah, you're
I was like, huh?
oh.
But that's the fun ones, like The Godfather, beating
Yeah. I threw in The
Grandfather being a
Godfather because
movie.
it's
So
like, oh, he's in 60 films. Like, what was it, just shitty films or something? It's like,
yeah,
no, one of them was The
yeah,
Godfather, actually.
yeah. He's been in a classic. Okay. Um.
Take it a
Yeah.
little more seriously
Awesome.
now.
I think I mean, I have some guesses. I have some decent
Yeah.
guesses. Yeah.
I'm curious to see if we're thinking about the same person for the first one. Because
Yeah.
I truly always forget for some reason that they were on the Bears. But I always forget about
Yeah.
their football career in general.
But for two, I think it is. It's I just am like me and my nephew always talked about him, because his availability recently came up, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's the same guy, so he was talking about how it was like written in the stars or whatever,
Yeah.
It's like okay, but yeah, the other ones are. I think I'm a little more solid on that one than the other two, but I might be wrong there too.
Yeah.
Yes. What's happening around in the league and sports? We have who is Washington for hockey?
Capitals?
They beat the Philadelphia Flyers 6-3. Looks like they were at home. Double NCAA football. Looks like Kennesaw State beat Liberty.
I love that
I don't
I'm like
even-
watching football games on Wednesdays and Tuesdays and be like, I've never heard of these teams.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty awful
JPST
football,
versus
but it's
MTSU. Yeah.
Mountain State.
There's some basketball though.
Blue
Basketball
Hose.
started.
Yes.
Yeah. The Bulls were playing. I don't see them up there right now. Where were they? 81-80 over New Orleans. The Bulls pull it out, which is funny. The 81 points because just like during preseason, one of the games was 140.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we doing? Yeah, like final for the Cleveland game was 136 to 106.
I know you're not a big hockey fan, and I'm still trying to get that out of you a little bit.
No, that's okay. I'm trying to
Did you watch any of the
show
Frozen
some
Frenzy
interest.
yesterday?
What is that?
They do every team plays, and like ESPN was doing just bouncing back and forth between every game as it was going on.
Very cool. Yeah.
And it was from like 6 o'clock, I think, till like 10 o'clock at night. They were just bouncing between games.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, hockey's fun to watch. I don't mind it, It's just like growing up, it's not been something easy to watch if you didn't have cable and stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
never really
they
had the
do throw it on.
opportunity
They
to
have
get
some
into
weird. They just signed that ESPN stuff, but until then, they kind of had some. Like they had like True TV they were working with. They had like TNT.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that basketball season being back up is kind of good. It's got that filler in the middle of the week, because it's like not with baseball just being now in the World Series and playoff baseball. There wasn't a lot of baseball, and I'm just getting into hockey, so I'm trying to see this. Trying to see what teams are what. I can't even say half these names. They're all French Canadian dudes.
Yeah. Connor Bedard is not.
And to be honest with you, looking at the box score, like some of these, like their shift, TOI, PPTOI, SHTOI, I don't know what any of this means.
I'll have to break it down for you at some point.
Power play?
Yep.
Time on ice. Okay. Time on ice. Got it. Learning. Because I do like looking at box scores. That's part of the sports for me. Is just the numbers,
Yeah.
That's why I love baseball, because it's like, what do you want to know? They have a stat for all of it, and football's gotten like that too. Let's get to this week's start, bench, cut.
Okay.
This week I'm doing an offensive line, just because we can say bye-bye to Nate Davis, I expect.
Yeah.
So we are doing start, cut, bench. Who you starting, who you getting rid of, and who you going to keep on the bench of offensive linemen. Let's go with Darnell Wright, Coleman Shelton, who's a center, and Tevin Jenkins. Darnell Wright's second year, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe second or third year. Coleman Shelton we just picked up. He's been a perennial backup, and then Tevin Jenkins, who is drafted, gets a high grade as far as pass protection, but availability an issue seems like.
I would probably say I'm starting Darnell Wright because he has shown a lot of, like, to me, he's played really well. And
yeah.
I mean, obviously his availability is nice too. I think I'm cutting Tevin Jenkins, to be honest. Hopefully trading him, but get something out of it.
Yeah.
But,
obviously, yeah, that'd probably be more of the realistic situation, but because of availability issues.
Yeah, it's tough to be like, just like Nate Davis, like a more like you understand why he's not on the field because Nate Davis, I feel like, just doesn't want to play football, and Tevin Jenkins, I feel like it's just because he's unfortunately getting random injuries that are just happening to him, and he's just unlucky.
Yeah, some of the some guys are just like that. And I feel like he is one of those guys. Ankles rolled up on or whatever, he's just injury prone. I don't disagree with you really. And then Coleman Shelton obviously is getting benched there, but I think he's a serviceable center, especially if the pieces that the Bears move around, with Ryan Bates being in there, Matt Pryor, Doug Kramer, and then Bill Murray is in there in the mix somewhere.
And Bill Murray looked good.
Yeah, I feel like once he came in, or is he the one that's in for Nate Davis?
Yeah. If he's on
I feel like there was way more stability on the line.
Yeah, they all looked way more active and like wanted to block. I watched some videos too of Bill Murray, and he's just like running around, just looking back and forth for people to block and just making sure Caleb doesn't get touched.
Yeah. And I felt like, that ups the level of play of everyone around you because Nate Davis, I mean, everybody was on the ground, and that's what it's like. Well, because I feel like when someone doesn't do their job, you're trying to do too much then, and then it just is a domino effect. So especially on the line, there's so much matters on everyone kind of doing their job,
Yeah.
And when you face a defense like, we're going to face in the Vikings and the Lions, where they move the pieces around, it's like you have to have guys that are accountable, and Nate Davis has. We've been a better team since he's been benched.
Yeah. I think so.
We passed less, and I think we've the game planning has been a little bit different. The run game's different, but it's gotten better, so that's helped. But I think the offensive line's been way better.
Yeah,
it looks better on paper anyway. I mean, shoot, there's way less sacks, way less hurries. And everyone kind of blames that on strength of competitions, though. It's like, well, we did that against the Indianapolis Colts. We let them beat us. So it wasn't necessarily about the competition. Plus, every team is pretty good. They got good players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. You're building a pretty good team with the wide receivers. We've done wide receivers. We've done prior to that. We did cornerbacks or secondary, and then this week we did offensive line.
Yeah.
That being said, next week we will talk about we got the game against Washington. We'll talk about all the stats that come up back up. There's going to be a ton of movement. Oh yeah, we still got the pick'ems. Let's do the let me run some Fanatics commercial here, and then when we come back we'll do the pick'ems and let you know what we're getting into in the next week, because we have the game to talk about, but there'll be a bunch of action happening because the trade deadline's coming up, and everyone's kind of, as injuries happen, is moving parts. So
I want to take a break from the podcast to tell you about Fanatics. At Fanatics, you can find everything you need to support your team, from jerseys and hats to hoodies and accessories. We've got it all. It's officially licensed, so you know you're getting the real deal. And here's the best part. We've teamed up with Fanatics to bring you an exclusive offer. When you use the code 24SHIP at checkout, you'll get free shipping on orders over $24. Plus, by using our special link in the show notes on our website, you'll be able to directly support our podcast. So head over to fanatics.com, load up the best Bears gear, and use code 24SHIP for free shipping on orders over $24. It's a win-win. Get to show off your Bears pride and help keep Barely Maintaining going strong. Thank you for your support, and as always, bear down. Now let's get back to.
Thank you, Ryan. So what happened last week? How'd we do?
So you went 3-1.
Terrible.
3-1.
Oh shoot!
And I went 2-2. So you
Nice.
are now in the lead 15-13, and I am 14-14 still, so I'm even.
I am not. Don't even care because that could all fall apart with these picks this week.
Yeah.
It means nothing. I mean, for the listeners, Ryan was 7-0. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was like, I felt like I maybe was picking emotionally. I don't know. I literally felt like I didn't know football.
Yeah.
Carolina beat Vegas at home. That one just destroyed me. Yeah, it's been a weird football year. It's kind of stabilizing now, though, is it not?
It seems like it is. It seems like that you're kind of seeing which teams are good and
The teams that we thought were kind of stepping out a little bit. The Bills, Ravens,
yeah.
Chiefs just keep hanging on by the skin of their teeth. I'm like, they got to fall off this
Except
cliff,
for
right?
The 49ers, I mean, they look to take care of them pretty well.
Yeah, and you keep expecting the 49ers to start playing like the Super Bowl contending team. But the Christian McCaffrey injury, I think, is a big one. And then Brandon Ayuk, I think, is done now for the year.
Yeah, yep, because he tore his ACL.
So, yeah, actually tore two things. I don't know what the MCL and ACL.
Oh, geez, yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
So,
all right.
should I bench him this week? Yes.
Game one here. We're gonna do the Vikings and the Rams.
Are they in LA?
Yes.
I gotta go Vikings. I
I
really don't want to. I don't really want to pick the Vikings, but the Rams are just decimated, and even if they are getting healthier, it's like it's going to take a lot to get this. But they're in every game.
Yeah. I've seen some Cooper Cup trade rumors as well, so I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently they're getting pretty desperate. I'm gonna take the Vikings as well in this. I think they bounced back from the loss to the Lions.
Which is barely a loss.
Yeah.
It was a kick at the end of the game. They're for real too, unfortunately, as much as I hate saying it.
Yeah.
They are pretty good. I mean, I watched that game. They look competitive. They know how to play though. With their pieces.
Yeah.
They're playing very smart football. They don't make Sam Darnold go out and win it for them.
Right.
Just throw it up every now and again and let Jefferson go get it. And then
Yeah.
pass it. Just hand it off every other game ever played. So
Let's see. Game 2 here is going to be the Saints at Chargers.
Saints at Chargers. I am going with the I'm going to go with the Chargers. I feel like they bounced back. Their offense did nothing against the Cardinals. And I feel like they got some injuries going on too, but I feel like the Chargers bounced back against the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going to go Chargers here as well. The Saints are just... I saw something, I don't know if it's real, but it looked legit. They're at open tryouts right now because they're so injured.
For kicker?
Yeah.
Oh.
For just for team. They're trying to get players to come in and
Should we go down there? Give her a shot.
But their team is just decimated. They don't have anybody.
And even the guys when they're healthy aren't that good. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, they had two games that it looked like they were like the balls, the bell of the balls. They were like the team to beat this year. And then nothing sense.
Right.
What are they doing in LA this week? 2 games at the same stadium?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a hell
What
of a
are they
schedule.
doing?
They got 2 games
Are
one
all
night.
no? They're doing so. Vikings Rams are on Thursday, and they're gonna get it cleaned up, I
Okay,
guess, in time for.
pull that touch to pull the end zone up and put a new one down.
Jeez. Yeah, I didn't even think about that because that's a quick turnaround.
I mean,
Do you think the field?
think about the genius of owning a stadium and having 2 football teams there.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Every week you're
Yeah,
probably have a
because
game.
that's the problem with an NFL stadium. Like you get 8 games a year, 9 maybe now
Yeah.
home games, and then if you get some playoff games. But if you're not getting playoff games, it's like you're building a stadium for other stuff. You know,
Yeah.
you got 2 teams, you're getting 16. So that helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even think about that when you before you
Yeah,
said
well,
that.
I'm like, oh, both of them are in LA in the same week. That's interesting. But they do it, man. It's crazy. The turnover because I actually did an automotive event in the parking lot of where the Chargers played when they're in San Diego. We did it the next day. It was just there was no turnover. I mean, we had to clean up, run over grills and stuff in the parking lot to do our event.
Jeez.
You know, because the tailgate was just there. You know, they just bring in a street sweeper, and suck up everything. Funny.
Let's see. Last game here is, or no, I'm sorry. Second to last game is Bills at Seahawks.
A little voice tells me to pick Seahawks, but I'm going Bills. I feel like they get back on track, or they got back on track, and um, like you mentioned earlier, that Amari Cooper pickup means something. You know, Keon Coleman now is getting open, not getting double teamed. I think they'll put up the points. Seahawks aren't a bad team though.
No. Yeah, they're one of those teams that I feel like is going to be a buyer in the trade deadline to try and figure some stuff out and get back in.
Yeah, I bet they get an interesting piece.
Yeah. I'm as well as going to go with the Bills. I think, like you said, Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman are already showing to be kind of a good little duo there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with them. And then last game here is Giants at Steelers.
I'm gonna go with Steelers. Honestly, Russell Wilson, who started out like just absolute dog water, ended up looking like vintage Russ by
Yeah.
the end of that game. So I'm going Steelers. Honestly, I said earlier in the year, coaching matters, and Tomlin's going to at least get you a winning record, right? So, and the Giants just, after watching Hard Knocks and stuff, it's hard to trust them as like a viable winner, you know?
Yeah. Well, it looks
I
like
don't
we're
see
going to
it.
be, no matter what happens, we'll be in the same.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go
That's
Steelers
okay though.
as well.
I mean, honestly, part of it is me not picking like those little voices in my head and just
Yeah.
going with logic.
Yeah.
Because at least if I'm not winning those games, it's illogically happening. It's the team that's not supposed to win, you know?
Right. Unfortunately, my little voice in my head is like, just change it and go to a different team so we can be competitive
Yeah.
in this and see what happens. But
Yeah.
also,
I gotta make
I
up
don't wanna
ground.
I don't want to fall behind.
Yeah. No, because it's going to happen. You know, this week, obviously, whatever happens will be the same. But moving forward, you know, there's going to be weeks where I pick nothing right because it's just that's.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, it's been one of those years.
Yeah, 100%.
DraftKings is already either losing a ton of money or getting a ton of money this year. I don't know what it is.
Getting a ton
No.
of money.
'Cause
They
people-
are, yeah. I've seen some crazy
they're-
thing that was like a couple $1 billion, like $19 billion between DraftKings and FanDuel that they've taken in on
You're wel-
like parlays.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
FanDuel, DraftKings, we'd love for a sponsorship here, man. Don't cost much. We shout you out every other word if you wanted. Special thanks to Julie Burhite and Lindsay O'Brien for allowing us the time. This is 15 episodes. We are, you know, over 25% of the year into this thing.
Yeah.
And that takes time out of our schedules to do it, so we appreciate that. Next week's episode, we'll talk about the Commanders game. Of course, we'll do more pick'ems. It's been a tumultuous year. We'll talk about all the stuff happening on the league because it just keeps coming daily on movement, what pieces. We'll do some expectations and we'll do some games on what we think is going to happen around the league. Do some games coming up on Trivia Wheel. Make sure you check us out on all social medias. Ryan does a good job putting the videos up if you'd like to see us in person. As always, a good night to Richard Tompkins. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure you tune in to Barely Maintaining for all your latest Bears news. See you next episode.